Termites.
Yeah, maybe termites.
If I break it away.
Erosion.
Language is best learned by talking, listening, reading, and writing about things that are of interest to the learner in a low-stress situation. Outdoor science programs, where students get to explore and discuss ideas, are an ideal environment for English learners to develop language and speaking skills. They're surrounded by stimulating phenomena, so there are lots of interesting things to communicate about. And the out-of-school environment can feel less stressful than the classroom for those who might be reluctant to speak. Part of learning something new is connecting it to something we already know. To help students with this part of learning, give them opportunities to discuss questions that bring up their prior knowledge on each new concept you introduce. This is important for all learners, but especially for those who are still learning the language of instruction. This can help them connect what they're learning with experiences and ideas they already have.
We already they were like so.
Use structured discussion routines like walk and talk to provide support and give students lots of opportunities to talk in pairs before sharing in a large group. When you ask questions, make sure they're clear and stated in different ways to provide more than one way to access the information. Ask students to rephrase questions and instructions in order to check for understanding.
And by the way, if you agree with something that someone says in this circle, you can go like this. It means that I agree. And
mix hand signals into discussions and include other ways students can participate non-verbally.
Okay, thumbs up if you agree with Nathan's idea that it makes it weaker.
Before a discussion, consider modeling an example of what it might look like. Use students who are strong speakers or an adult to help you model the discussion.
So it's a conversation between you and the person who comes by. You're exploring, you're trying to figure it out, and you say things like, you know, I don't know what those things are for. What do you think they might be for? Those things sticking out the side of its head. They might be for breathing? Yeah, I wrote down gills. I thought maybe, but I'm not sure. And then, you see the dots at the front? I think those might be eyes. What do you think?
Whenever possible, use concrete objects in nature to introduce questions or prompts, and consider creating images or questions written on large sheets of paper, manila folders, or sentence strips so all students can see them. Providing students with optional sentence starters or useful phrases can also be helpful support. And make sure you encourage them to communicate however they feel most comfortable, in their first language, in imperfect English, through gestures, or whatever. Don't avoid using relevant academic language with students, but do avoid single-use hard words, which can be confusing. It takes about 7 meaningful exposures to a new hard word for it to become part of their vocabulary.
But I know I'm going to places where there might be organisms living there. Find as many organisms as you can.
Choose a few key academic words and introduce them in context when students have a need to use them to communicate. Use these words multiple times both out loud and in written form, and encourage students to use them appropriately. You don't have to speak English perfectly to participate in a productive discussion. Research shows that science discussions are great for emerging multilinguals to improve their language skills as they make sense of ideas.